If your grandfather is deceased and left no will, and the title is still in his name, even where there is no dispute, you will not be able to proceed using that land. Even though you have access to it, there is no dispute, all family members are agreed. That is something that we have to look at. We can't just ignore it. If it is a company, you require consent from all directors. If one single director cannot be found, or if that one single director refuses, then that's it. So something has to be done. We already know the challenges in terms of land. For a country where the majority of us are descendants of slaves, and therefore not the owners of land. And therefore, in building that industry, we cannot ignore our past.
So yesterday I promised that I would bring to you this video where Angela Brownberg are speaking about some of the things that are going to happen to us if the Jamaican Labour Party should win the next general election. As you can hear, if your parent or your grandparent pass off and them left a piece of land for you and there is no dispute, everybody will live happy upon the land, then the government can come in and just take the land from you. Which the government is going to come in and take that land away from you. Even some people that sponsor land for much years now and them pitney bill on the land and them something there. And them don't have no title for the land because them parent or them grandparent didn't leave any title behind with or no will with them name on it. Then them are go lose the land. That's a wickedness. Don't my viewers and my subscribers. Very, very wickedness. Also, people, if your mother or your father or your grandfather dead left one business and them can't find just one director them for that business, then the government is going to take over that business and you will no longer have access to that business without you getting $1 out of that business. That a wickedness. But bless up to my viewers and my subscribers them. I hope everybody having a blessed and a wonderful morning. Now my viewers and my subscribers, remember, in everything you do, always put God first. In every any situation, just always remember to call upon God. Always remember to pray, because a prayer day keep the devil away. Now my viewers and my subscribers, make we run the intro and come back. We soon forward. So welcome back to my viewers and my subscribers. Big up to all of my viewers, big up to all of my subscribers. We continually support the channel and help the channel to grow. Now, remember to leave a like on this video. Remember to give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you're a new viewers first time on my channel, then please subscribe to my channel and turn on the post notification bell. So whenever we drop new content, you will be first to be notified. Alright? Remember to share the content with a friend or family, a loved one. Educate them about what is going on in this country. Educate them of the wickedness that we are going to face if Holness should gain power again. And he don't want to talk about these things because he's hiding. You understand? And there's a lot of other stuff that he's hiding. But people, today is my birthday, the 2nd of April. Happy birthday to me. You understand me? I say, I am so proud of myself knowing that me have become a whole man now. Yeah. Me have become a whole man. And, you know, them used to say we're now past 16 and now we are big old man and all of that. So we have to be grateful to the Most High Father God. You understand me? I say, I just want to say, big up to Father God. Big up to the Most High. You understand? We're not sell out. We're not stray. Big up Father God, and big up to all of my viewers and my subscribers. Them we continually push this channel. You understand me? I say big up on yourself. Anybody want to drop a little donation towards my birthday, then I am gonna leave my PayPal account in the description, also pin at the top of the comment section, along with a WhatsApp number where you can at least contact me. All right, so just check in at the comment section at the top or the description as well. All right, now people, let's kick off this video with some of our future prime minister, our future doctor, our future lawyers, and all of that, our young children that are going to take this country by storm. And that is why we need to protect the youths, because the children are the future. All right, now check out these children, people.
Minister, leader, the opposition, and all other members of the House. Good afternoon. My name is Ngozi, and I am 7 years old. Thank you for letting us be the very first group of children in Jamaican history to stand here and present to you. With me are Tafari, who is also 7, Kino, who is 10, and Shanil, who is 18, and spent most of her childhood in state care. We are here today as advocates for a violence-free Jamaica. We love our country, but we hate the violence that is hurting the bodies, minds, and spirits of Jamaican children. We hate the violence that is making children so afraid, the violence that is taking their lives. We are very concerned about what is happening to our children and what is happening into your children.
Honorable adults, listen to us, please. Many of us are afraid to go to school, afraid to go home, afraid to go outside in our communities. We live in fear that we will be the next victims of violence.
Ladies and gentlemen, our fear is based on the heartbreaking reality that many of us are being bullied, many of us are being beaten, many of us are being sexually and emotionally abused, and we are being murdered. This violence started in the days of slavery, and to this day it continues. So I ask you, what are you doing to help break the cycle? One thing you can do is to listen to us. We are living with this violence every day. We are seeing it happen all around us, and we have a lot to say. Over the last 3 months, almost 300 children in 3 parishes spoke up about violence at sessions organized by UNICEF, the Office of the Children's Advocate, and Talk Up Youth. We learned about the rights we have in the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and we reasoned about what it means to have these rights, like the right to share our thoughts as we are here doing today. Let me bring you into our world. I will now read some of the experiences of violence that were shared by children at these sessions. This is what they wrote in their own words. Number 1. Between the age of 5 to 10, I was exposed to physical abuse. It was a case where I had been beaten to the point where it felt like nothing to me. Her excuse for beating me so harshly was that she was trying to discipline me. But still, it didn't cover up for her scars that are left from her gruesome disciplinary actions that are still haunting me today. Number 2, I have seen gunmen kill men. Number 3, I have been sexually abused by my father's friend. Number 4, I have seen parents verbally, emotionally, and physically abuse their child or children because of their reports. The children were told that they were worthless and would not turn out to be anything good in life. This left the children feeling unwanted, deserted, and some even started to feel suicidal. Number 6, my grandmother lives in a very bad community. Number 5, dear Prime Minister, where I live there are a lot of pedophiles, so I'm afraid of going to the shops when it's dark. Number 6, my grandmother lives in a very bad community, and sometimes I have to stay with her. Gunshots are fired very often. Most of the times it's with the intention of killing someone. Often shots are fired very close to her house. I have witnessed multiple drive-by shootings, stabbings, and people being killed at her doorstep. At my age, these things are very terrifying. These are only 6 of the hundreds of experiences that were shared by children just in the last 3 months. At every one of these sessions, most of the children had either experienced or witnessed violence. This means a lot of children in Jamaica are dealing with a lot of pain. Research from around the world shows that this kind of trauma can have negative effects on all aspects of a child's development, and it can have a lasting impact. Children who have been traumatized by violence have higher risks of school dropout, drug abuse, depression, diabetes, heart disease, and involvement with violence and crime. I don't want to live in a Jamaica where the children are so hurt by violence that they grow up to hurt themselves or to hurt other people. Do you? Do you? Thank you.
Hey, big man, love the liquor picnic. Go on with your sweetie, you can't trick me. Take your old car and go on where you a go. Pervert, me no wanna drive from you. Pervert, me no wanna drive from you. God's gift to mankind, little children. Stars we a shine, don't kill them. Murderer! You a got burn in a hell. You touch a little picnic, me a go tell. Kids don't talk to no stranger. Run and scream in a danger from the earth children. Electric chair. Those who agree, put your hand in the ear. Those who agree, put your hand in the ear. So, hey, big man, love the liquor picnic. Go on with the sweetie, you can't trick me. Take your old car and go on where you a go. Pervert, me no wanna drive from you. Pervert, me no wanna drive from you. Thank you for listening to our voices. Talk up youth, Mr. For talk up youth and violence no.
Wow.
Much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to make my contribution to this debate on motion number 83, notice of which was given on May 7th, 2019 by the member from St. James Central. As a ganja advocate, I am always ready to support any discussion or initiative aimed at making the Jamaican landscape business friendly, and especially if we are talking about balancing in favor of our small or traditional farmers. So today is no different. I find myself in that position once again. However, I must admit that I am amazed that the government has chosen to place this motion on the order paper, notwithstanding the fact that there is a previous motion, motion number 68, which was tabled on July 24, 2018. Yes, 2018. More than 1 year and 10 months before the current motion that is before us. And to note that that motion is one that is broader in scope than the current motion and would have included the issues in the motion currently before us. I hasten to say that this is my contribution to the present motion that is before us, and I still await the opportunity to debate motion 83 standing in my name. To date, I have been extremely proud of the persons advocating for a liberalized, equitable, and legal ganja industry in Jamaica. The truth is that politics has really played little or no part in it. And I know that the previous ministers under whose portfolio this fell, as well as Minister Shaw and Minister Green, will agree with me that that is how the industry has been developing. I will say, I will make no comment about the reason why the motion number 83, standing in the name of the member from Central St. James, would be here at this time. But I wanted us to just look a little bit at motion 68, the present motion before us. And it asks for amended legislation and regulations to create, and I quote, a more open and accessible regulated cannabis industry, which would allow for Rastafarians to earn from ganja in addition to their sacramental use. After all, we are aware that many of them gave their sweat, their blood, their tears, and even their life to build the reputation that gives us pride of place today. They kept the flag going where Jamaican ganja is concerned, and we cannot forget the small and traditional farmers who have struggled to make a living after the Jamaican government declared the plant illegal that had been legal for years before that. So the motion asks for a moratorium and for full support of small and traditional farmers to allow for their meaningful participation in a regulated industry. It also calls for a change of approach It also calls for a change of approach from one that is primarily concerned with enforcement to one that is focused on building a legal and regulated industry, which of course would also include what is being asked now, which is enforcement. I believe that what we really need, along with the enforcement arm, is really the establishment, and I've said that before, of a cannabis industry council. One that would look at developing the industry as an industry and not simply on the enforcement aspects of it. The current motion before us really asks for two things, both of which have been included as specific issues being contemplated by the motion of which I spoke earlier. One is the waiver of fees to small farmers, and in particular members of the Rastafarian community, to allow them to be competitive in the current marketplace. We should be aware that the current regulation, if we look at the provision 32(1)(a), actually includes that option. In fact, what it says is that the minister, the authority in respect of any category or subcategory of licenses, and with the prior approval of the minister after consultation with the minister responsible for finance, waives the payment of any fee or security bond payable under these regulations, or defer the payment thereof for a specified period, which means that what is being asked for is already contemplated in the proclamation rules and regulations guiding the Cannabis Licensing Authority. Of course, I have no difficulty agreeing if we are asking for the minister to waive it as a matter of course and not to leave that at the discretion of the CLA. The second thing that is being requested by the current motion before us is that the Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries make available to these farmers, specifically the Rastafarian group, the assistance and technical staff so as to maximize the yield of the farms. As it relates to both of these points, I certainly agree with technical assistance, and the whole idea of an industry council would be specifically that, to make sure that the necessary resources are available to small, traditional, and indigenous farmers. This assistance I put forward is not just about yield. It is also about market. It is about the standards that the Bureau of Standards will be demanding. It is about general operating procedures. But it is also about business opportunities. It's about technology. It's about training. And I believe that what is required goes far beyond simply assistance looking at yield. Mr. Speaker, I am certainly well aware of the kind of support required by small and traditional farmers, as it was just October 22nd that 9 members of the Southwest St. Andrew Ganjapreneurs completed and submitted their application for a cultivator's, yes, Ganjapreneurs, for a cultivator's license. In Southwest St. Andrew, we are still working with the additional 50 plus Ganjapreneurs for submission of their application. The truth is that even in recognition of some of the issues and the challenges, the government has introduced the ADP, the Alternative Development Program. And this is needed given what we are seeing in rising global demand. In fact, the expectation conservatively for medical and recreational cannabis is expected to grow anywhere between 17 and 23%. That is the demand. And if there is this demand, expected demand, then we have to make sure that every Jamaican has the right to participate and the conditions that will allow them to participate in an industry that can make a difference for so many persons. We have been seeing an increase in the use of cannabis as people come to understand and know the benefits of medicinal cannabis in particular. And we have seen its use both in terms of medical cannabis as well as its therapeutic use for yes, we have seen its use for pain management, for arthritis, for anorexia, anxiety, for depression, epilepsy, cancer, mental health issues, fibromyalgia, endometriosis, and so many more. I am sure that members here may be surprised to hear me tell you of individuals who have come into my office and who have explained how they have used cannabis to regulate some of the issues that they are having, whether it is fibromyalgia or endometriosis. A young lady came into my office and told me that the only thing that actually gives her any relief from the pain from fibromyalgia is a little weed. She says when she buys $50 worth of weed, yes, she has to gingerly use it because she cannot afford anymore, and she cannot afford some of the other medication that is available. I raise it not because I am glorifying an activity that is still illegal. I raise it because I want us to have a better understanding of the reality of individuals and what they have grown to know as part of their traditional medicine to help them with things like pain management. And that this ganja industry provides an opportunity for many dispossessed, disenfranchised, and marginalized to come into mainstream industry and earn a living and feed their families. When I look at some of the challenges as individuals speak to me, there's the one about titling, for example. What is allowed is that consent is required. But I don't have to tell anyone in here of the challenges we have with the high percentage of informal settlements that we have in Jamaica. And so sometimes just getting consent is difficult. If your grandfather is deceased and left no will, and the title is still in his name, even where there is no dispute, you will not be able to proceed using that land. Even though you have access to it, there is no dispute, all family members are agreed. That is something that we have to look at. We can't just ignore it. If it is a company, you require consent from all directors. If one single director cannot be found, or if that one single director refuses, then that's it. So something has to be done. We already know the challenges in terms of land. For a country where the majority of us are descendants of slaves and therefore not the owners of land. And therefore, in building that industry, we cannot ignore our past. Then there's a matter of fencing and security. And I have no difficulty with us making sure that the properties are fenced and that there's some level of security. But sometimes it seems ridiculous because the regulations when it comes to height. The truth is that in other jurisdictions there are ganja fields that don't have the requirement for the height that we are asking for here in Jamaica. Because the truth is that if someone was to come to cut a hole in your fence and to go into your ganja field, it don't matter whether it is 6, 8, 10, 12, or 20 feet high. And therefore, we have to look at what do we require in terms of the height of the fence. That makes sense. Because I'm looking at a quote for fencing a property. Let's talk about a 1 acre, which is the lowest level of the license that you can get. First of all, there's a non-refundable CLA application fee, $300 or $500 if it's a company. And then you have the fencing. So let's look at the fencing. To put up the fencing that is required, 126 feet wide by 7 feet high, double leaf gate, and a standard 3-strand barbed wire fence that could cost you $2 million. Right? That could cost you $2 million. Just to fence 1 acre. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. If you look at that, that does not include the cameras that are required. And when you look at the cameras, that can be anywhere between $750,000 or again another 1.2 million Jamaican dollars. And then, I mean, if you look at lighting that is required, again, you're talking about $500,000 to $1 million, depending on the CLA compliance requirements. So what we are talking about here is an industry which we were not expecting that there would be no barriers at all to entry. But the barriers are set such that the average Jamaican, the traditional small farmers who have carried this industry so that Jamaica can be a place where people will come because of our ganja, these costs are prohibitive. They are prohibitive, and that is one of the things we have heard people talking about. And so, for me, these are some of the important things that we need to deal with in terms of what needs to happen to make it more accessible to Jamaicans. I wanted, before I close, just to make a couple of proposals that I thought could be useful in terms of an emerging ganja industry. One of the things that is certainly lacking is a sustained public education. And I am not talking about education from those who are still traumatized by the propaganda spread by colonials back in the day when they wanted to ensure that ganja was illegal. I'm not talking about that kind of public education. I'm talking about an enlightened public education that provides individuals with the knowledge in terms of use, what to do and what not to do. For example, every time we have a discussion around cannabis, there are individuals to say how many persons, how many young children, youngsters, have been using it and what does that mean and what that does to them. The truth is that if you speak to almost any single ganja advocate, not just in Jamaica but elsewhere, one of the things they will tell you is that a brain that is still developing is one that should not be exposed to ganja. Yes. And that is clear. and that is clear. So the point I'm making is that I am sure that members in the industry would be willing and would welcome the opportunity to collaborate to ensure that we have a proper public education campaign around this. Precisely. The other thing is that the CLA has a requirement in terms of how far away you can establish and you can put up an establishment in relation to churches and schools. I have tried to see in my research if there is any logical reason for the distance that they have placed. And there really is no logical reason. What is the difference between 183 meters or 150 meters or 100 meters? There is none. And I believe that it is time for us to look at intent and not just distance. Yeah? Because what you have done by doing that is that you have, by doing that, excluded the majority of individuals in urban spaces. That's what you have done. And when I looked at the survey of living conditions and I looked at the increase in poverty, that is the effect. That is the effect. No, I am saying we need to revisit and look at that. I am saying that the distance from school should also include not just the physical measurement, but also the intent of the operation. I am saying that as well because I have been to other places where there is not that requirement. And the schools in the area have not seen an increase in use by their students. Now, I understand that Jamaica has its own cultural peculiarity and that we have to take that into consideration. So I'm not ignorant to that and I'm not being naive. I understand that totally. I am, however, saying that as a government, we cannot put out there an industry that just by what we have put in it as requirements excludes most of South St. Andrew, most of Western St. Andrew, most of Southwest St. Andrew. And I'm sure there are other urban areas where it is excluded just because of those requirements. Yeah? So that is what I'm saying. You did it with it at PAC. Okay. So that's good. In fact, I'm not sure how many of you would have seen an article. One, I think it came out in High Times a few days ago, and it was also on the Forbes.com website. The headline says, Thailand will soon allow its citizens to grow cannabis at home to sell to the government. Yeah. So let me just go in a little bit for you. Thailand is ramping up medical marijuana legalization efforts that will soon allow all Thais to cultivate 6 cannabis plants in their homes and sell their homegrown harvest to the government to turn into medical marijuana. We can have 5, but you're only allowed to use it for horticultural and therapeutic uses, personal uses. What they have said, we are in the process of changing laws to allow the medical use of marijuana freely, said recently appointed health minister in Bangkok on Wednesday. We have high confidence that marijuana will be among the major agricultural products for Thai households. Back in September, Anutin alluded, in the near future, families will be able to plant cannabis trees in their back gardens like any other herb. In addition, the other one, on September 2nd, the major university researchers planted 12,000 new marijuana seedlings in northern Thailand, while government officials looked on. The seedlings were provided by the government's Department of Medical Service. Officials expect the plants will produce medical marijuana in 6 months. In 6 months. The government pharmaceutical organization hopes to cultivate the plants to harvest enough ingredients to manufacture 1 million bottles of cannabis oil, each containing 5 milliliters by February 2020. So I want us to understand what's happening in other jurisdictions in terms of our homegrown plants. I also want to say that we need to look at even what we are doing with edibles. It makes no sense for any regime, any administration to expect that individuals who are interested, for example, in edibles will sit and do absolutely nothing until you have worked out a regime. If they did that, they would not be business persons. If they did that, they would not be able, when all of it has been worked out, to compete in that market. And so it makes no sense to expect that of them. In fact, I want to suggest that we need to look at local government and see what role there is for local government, for example. I'm saying that for the homegrown market, for example, we could allow the local authorities, to administer that with some rules about what can be done. Yeah, they can also be used to test what persons are growing and what they're doing, whether they want to find a new strain or they're looking for particular components. We could also do some similar provisions for the edible industry to include approved labeling and standards and registered to operate until the Ministry of Health gets their regulations in place. Of course, we expect that it would not be a free-for-all because we understand that with edibles, the important thing is about dosage and making sure that you don't package in multi-doses, right? But that each package is a dose by itself so that you don't get into persons being overdosed. It might be torture to you, but I'm going to say this. There are some men whose lives have been disrupted by government after government, who now have an opportunity to participate in a legal industry. And I stand here today speaking on their behalf because I have several of them who have voted for me and who have sent me to Parliament. And I would want them to be able to grow their plants and be in an industry and not have to run from police because they're selling illegal weed. And that is what I am here talking about. So, as I close, I hope that my presentation, my contribution, would have made the point that there is a need for us to revisit what's happening in the cannabis industry, for us to have a broader discussion on the matter, and one that looks very, very seriously at ensuring that we provide a supportive environment for every Jamaican.
The member's time for speaking has expired. House Leader.
I'll be finished in a couple seconds. I'm wrapping up. This is my last time.
2 minutes. May I request that the member's time be extended by 3 minutes to permit her to complete?
Those in favor? Those against? Ayes have it. Dr. Brownberg.
Thank you very much. As I was saying, I'm hoping that the discussion we will have is one that will lead this Parliament and the government to provide a supporting environment for all Jamaicans, not just Southwest St. Andrew, but all Jamaicans, to participate in an industry that can engender wealth creation, particularly in constituencies where so many are unemployed and living below the poverty line. Thank you.